Two Grand Forks police officers have been cleared of any wrongdoing after shooting to death John Francis Murphy III on July 8th in Grand Forks. The Grand Forks State's Attorney's Office says that officers Jordan Dries and Michael Ruitt used reasonable force when they responded to a suicidal male armed with a gun at this Grand Forks intersection at 3 a.m. July 8th. Again, those two Grand Forks police officers cleared of any possible criminal charges. Here's the news conference from the day of the shooting.
Good morning, Chief Nelson, Grand Forks Police Department. Thank you for coming. Purpose of this is to reiterate facts that happened at 3:17 a.m. on July 8th, 2018. Grand Forks police officers were dispatched to the 2200 block of South 22nd Street in response to a suicidal subject with a firearm. Upon arrival, officers encountered two individuals near the intersection of South 22nd Street and 24th Avenue South. One of these individuals was armed with a firearm, and the other individual was in close proximity. The armed subject refused commands provided by officers, and two officers discharged their firearms in response to a perceived threat by the armed subject. Though officers immediately rendered aid to the subject and summoned all true paramedics, the subject involved did not survive. Names of the officers and the subject are not being released at this time, pending family notifications. The two officers involved have been placed on administrative leave per department policy. The Bureau of Criminal Investigation is investigating this officer-involved shooting per Grand Forks Police Department policy.
Are you releasing the name of the suspect or officers yet?
No, we're not.
And can you explain to folks, or maybe you can't get into it, what is a perceived threat if I'm standing with a gun on my side like this and you tell me drop it, or if I start moving up?
There's no textbook definition for a perceived threat. A perceived threat would be a threat that any threat that could be perceived by the general public as a threat towards themselves or another individual or the officers involved.
Can you speak at all to the background of this suspect?
I cannot at this time. We're still in the early stages of this investigation, and as I stated earlier in the press release, the Bureau of Criminal Investigation is the investigating agency, as stated as per our department policy in the area of transparency. That's why we call in an outside agency.
And basically the BCI takes an extensive look at it and determines whether or not this was a justified shooting.
Well, what they will do is they will do their own investigation. Once they've completed their investigation will be forwarded to the state's attorney's office. The state's attorney will review their appropriate investigative files, and then a determination would be made at that point in time as to whether or not charges would be filed against the involved parties.
Are the subject that passed, is he part of the original call, the suicidal person? Do you determine that? Are the two related or separate?
You know, I can't comment at this time because, as I stated, I haven't talked to the investigators that were on scene, so it would be pure speculation on my part to state that he was actually a part of that.
Are you able to give a timeline at all based on how long they were trying to talk him out before the shots were fired?
I do not have that information at this time.
And were these guys standing on the street or in a vehicle or told to get out of a vehicle? Or?
You know, as I stated, I'm not investigating it. What we're releasing at this time is on the press release. Any specifics relevant to the case will be released as we move further through the investigation.